Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum. I'm your host Faisal Raza Khan and you are watching Foresight. On 14th of March 2025, Turkish Aerospace Pakistan successfully conducted the maiden test flight of Iqbal, a purely locally developed, scaled technology demonstrator. With 6 minutes test flight that showcased actually the success of the engineering design, dynamism and development capacity. Iqbal, named in the honor of Pakistan's national poet, Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal, is actually 1:7 dynamically scaled down version of the Turkish Aerospace 5th generation fighter jet Kaan. Iqbal is going to play a key role in the evolution of the 5th generation fighter jet Kaan and also going to be a test bed for various advanced aerospace technologies. Iqbal is a key demonstrator and a progressive step for the development of a dynamic aerospace industry in Pakistan. It is also a stimulant to bring the private sector to the limelight, nurture skilled research and development capacity, while it also going to give a lot of encouragement and a courage to the talented youth to express their valuable skills in the aerospace industry. We'll explore the cutting-edge world of aerial defense and revolutionary technologies in enhancing air power and advance air defense in national security. We are also going to focus the Turkish Aerospace 5th generation fighter jet and also how the Iqbal is going to play a vital role in development and evolution of the Kaan fighter jet. We can say that Iqbal-Kaan project. We can say it because Iqbal is actually the project related to Kaan fighter jet. To discuss this very important aspect of Pakistan's aerospace industry, particularly in the private sector, we have in our studios Mr. Sohail Sajid. He is the country head of Turkish Aerospace Industries in Pakistan. Thank you very much, Sohail, for your presence here. And we have Mageen Fatima Khan. She is the aerodynamic engineer, also working at Turkish Aerospace Industries, Pakistan. Thank you very much, Mageen, for your presence. And with her, Dr. Ghulam Mujadid, he is the strategic affairs expert. Thank you very much, sir, for your presence here. My first question to you, Sohail Sajid, why the air power and advanced air defense becoming increasingly critical and vital aspect for the national security in military domain and particularly in the modern warfare strategy?
Thank you very much, Mr. Raza. You know, unlike the conventional wars in the past, now the modern warfare is, the Air Force is the first respondent for that, as we all know. We have seen in recent, especially more than 10 years now, so many incidents where the first response from the Air Force, air defense or air weapon system actually as a first response that come forward to to protect the country and its sovereignty. So this is something like a modern phenomena which has changed the
we have the example of 27th of February
exactly.
2019.
That's
no
true.
doubt about that.
That's
really
true. So, right now there is no other solution actually. Only the modern warfare, as I said, led by the air defense system and air weapon system. That
you must have to be cutting edge over your adversary when it comes to the air power. No doubt about that, really. So your point well taken. Mageen, what defines a 5th generation fighter and why is it considered a game changer in modern air combat and particularly the defense strategy?
Thank you for that question. When we're talking about 5th generation fighter aircrafts, we're actually discussing the pinnacle of modern aviation technology. And when designing 5th generation fighter aircrafts, there's basically one principle in mind, and that is if you can see it, you can kill it. And if you can detect it, then you can shoot it down. Most of the 5th generation fighter aircrafts are virtually built to be indetectable and invisible to any enemy radars. 5th generation fighter aircrafts are also very high speed aircraft. They're super maneuverable. And they're very versatile, which makes them, they also have the ability to carry large weapons as payloads, and they're heavily armed. So their weapons that they can carry can be conventional and unconventional. This makes them highly versatile for multiple combat missions, and they can outmaneuver any threat in the sky. And what makes this aspect stand out is that only a handful of countries in the entire world have the capability to design, manufacture, and produce fifth generation fighter aircrafts. And Turkey has now joined that elite group.
Your point well taken. Thank you, Mine. Dr. Ghulam Mujadid, what role can the private sector play in investing in research and development to design and manufacture advanced fighter jets and other cutting-edge technologies? We have now the example of Iqbal-Kaan project. And what incentives actually can the government offer to encourage such ventures in the private sector? Because we have to encourage the private sector. Ultimately, it is going to ease a lot of burden from the public sector as well.
Yeah, I think government can create an ecosystem, a supportive ecosystem for private sector to contribute towards the high-tech capability of nations. And it is definitely the private sector who leads the technological innovations and production of the high-tech materials. This can be done by incentivizing, like subsidies, tax breaks, by collaborating with the foreign partnerships and making them in contact with the private industry of the country, and also fostering academic industrial collaboration, international partnerships, and streamlining the regulations that are required for setting up of the industry, one window operations, the bureaucratic processes easing up, and then streamlining the regulations of these things. All these are the measures that can be taken by the government to enable the private sector to come up and contribute towards the high
Definitely, it is not limited to the aerospace industry, but also to the other defense production industries and even other industries as well.
Very well said.
So government can stimulate these sectors through their intervention, no doubt about that. Sohail, what is Kaan? Because most of the people actually ask this question, that what is Kaan? How is the Turkey's first fifth generation fighter jet actually reshape the air power and overall defense strategies? And if you don't mind, can you tell us something about the Turkish aerospace industry in Pakistan? Because why it is established, and what's the recent history, and what to achieve, means what are the goals basically, how it is going to supplement Pakistan's aerospace industry and overall the aerial defenses in the air power?
A very good question. First of all, Turkish Aerospace is a 100% state-owned entity back home in Ankara.
It is, yes.
And one of the prominent defense production industry in the world. I would also mention that with diversity, with the changing, producing the changing, platforms, probably it is the only one of its kind in the world. For example, there are defense production industries from rest of the world, let's say US, Italy, France, Russia. So if one particular entity is producing aircraft, they are mainly into aircrafts, or maybe a bit of into helicopter. We have a series of fighter, aircrafts, including fighter jets and trainer jets, series of UAVs from reconnaissance to combat UAVs, light and heavyweight, a series of space systems, satellites, and a series of helicopters, from utility helicopters to gunship helicopters or combat helicopters. Then opening this office, I would say thanks to the leadership, first of all the political leadership of Turkey and the leadership of Turkish Aerospace itself. I would definitely mention the name of our earlier CEO, Professor Temel Kotil, current CEO, Mr. Mehmet Demirolu, and our Executive Vice President, Dr. Uğur Zengin. So it was their vision that this particular entity opening its front in Pakistan can provide a footprint that can engage the brother countries to come together for defense, to strengthen not only as brother countries, hands in hands, going side by side, also strengthening or providing a ground to the rest of the Muslim world to join us and create this ground to further strengthen the relation between the Muslim world. The second part of the questions, most of its aspect has been already answered by Mageen.
Okay.
So we can continue.
Your point well taken.
Yes.
But Mageen, as Sohail elaborated, in an era of very smart and cost-effective unmanned aerial vehicles and even unmanned combat aerial vehicles, why do the fighter jets remain crucial for the modern warfare and the defenses overall? And how Kaan is going to contribute in that scenario?
Okay. Fighter jets are important for any country's defense. While UAVs offer a cheap and a cost-effective solution, their range cannot be compared to a manned aircraft in case we're comparing fighter jets. So it's not this or that. Both have to work together for a country's defense. And now as we're moving forward, we're seeing that UAVs and manned fighter jets are working in formations, and they're contributing together to any country's defense. But of course, we cannot outrule the importance of a manned fighter aircraft because its range is unmatched. The maneuverability that a manned fighter aircraft offers
definitely in the dogfights.
Yes, it's not achieved as of now by
and
a
that
UAV.
is if that is stealth or having stealth features,
Yes.
it means that can avoid any sort of radar signatures and all of
avoid
this.
any sort of radar signatures. And the second part of your question was about Kaan.
How it is going to be important, particularly when we are talking about it is a leap forward when we are
Yes.
talking about Turkish aerospace industry, but how it is going to demonstrate the success of an air power or edge over its adversary when it comes to Pakistan?
So, as we mentioned, that Kaan is Turkey's 5th generation fighter aircraft. So, of course, we only have a handful of 5th generation fighter aircrafts in the world.
Yes, no doubt.
Namely US F-22 Raptor, F-35, some Russian, some Chinese. But Turkey has now joined the global defense and
Okay. Your point well taken. So, Dr. Ghulam Mujadid, how can Pakistan's private sector collaboration with the public sector entities, amalgamation of overall scenario, then with the international defense contractors and the tech providers to develop, acquire and integrate the latest technologies like advanced radar systems, the electronic warfare suits and the stealth technology into the country's aerial defense systems. So how do you see overall scenario that you have collaboration, cooperation, integration of the different technologies and all that?
I think it's a very important question and very fundamental to the development of high technology industry in Pakistan in aerospace and other combat systems. I think the process is already on. It's very heartening to note, and the achievements of Turkish aerospace, Pakistan, in a very short time coming up to this level of this thing speaks that there is a private public partnership. And in that regard, I would refer to the 8th Pak-Turk Industrial Expo joint working session that took place just a few weeks back or something. And the TAI's general manager was the chief guest, and he attended that, contributed very positively. And there were 32 entities that represented in this expo. And some of them were defense and state-owned enterprises, and many of them were the private sector, this thing, who
that's really encouraging.
That is very encouraging and heartening. So this is how the private sector has to be integrated into it. And one of the important aspects is that the universities, that is academic and industrial cooperation and this thing, and also the human resource. We need to develop that. We have to give boost to the private sector, and then these technicalities, like I'm very happy to note that this Turkish aerospace is housed in NUST. Similarly, we have Air University, where this high-tech industrial investment and startups are there. We also have created Kamra Aviation City,
yes.
Which is a very, very good step in order to train and have industry.
That is also a very dynamic and multi-dimensional
area. And a private, giving boost to the private sector, the youngsters, the young engineers.
Also a talent pool there to train in the
Exactly.
future leadership
That's
also.
right.
That's
That is
very good. Your point well taken. So, Sohail sir, what is Iqbal project? Briefly, what is Iqbal project? And how will it transform actually Pakistan's air power, the defense technology and the strategic self-reliance in the era of fifth generation warfare overall?
Thank you. Dr. Saab has rightly mentioned also for the earlier part of the question that I would like to mention the last IDEF, the International Defense Expo in Istanbul, in Turkey. There were renowned 1,500 private entities, including some of them were state-owned or partially state-owned, which means that more than 1,400 companies are originating from private sector, to boost this industry. As you mentioned that it is not possible, and also Dr. Saab mentioned that we need to create an ecosystem, especially bringing the academia and industry together.
Definitely.
Which NUST is one of the good example right now, I would like to mention. It's a top university of the country, and especially its engineering and some other universities I would like to mention, IST.
Because the public sector,
Yes.
academia, industry linkage,
Yes.
this triangle is very important.
Exactly.
When it comes to the success of any sort of a project, and particularly when we are talking about the very sensitive area of aerospace, so in that area particularly, we have to join hand for that. So please go
So
on.
that brings the background actually. So during our successive visit of our leadership to Pakistan, especially to Pakistan Aeronautical Complex, Kamra, so they learned about our human resource. I can fairly say that I have been visiting, of course, PAC Kamra. Sometime our very simple technician who matriculate and had a course related to this industry for 4 years, sometime he is beating the chief engineer of this field from US.
Very talented human resource
So
we have.
the leadership realized that such a wonderful human resource that we have, engineers, aerospace, mechanical, electrical. So let's bring them together and open this footprint in Pakistan, other than, as I mentioned, to bind this as brotherhood element is already there, unconditional brothers. So that was the second element to put up this office. And we started in NUST. I was the first person, employee number 1. And then we started from a very small team of engineers. And the head office also, I would say, it was their vision that actually capitalized this Iqbal project. They thought of giving us any assignment which is not of a very small scale. They knew the potential at that time. Even ourselves as group of engineers, we were not having this much confidence at that time. But they knew our capability, our good human resource, extraordinary human resource. I would also like to mention, our doctors, engineers, scientists, account and finance specialists.
You were the first employee, and then Iqbal is the first having the first maiden flight, and afterwards there was it set fire actually in India, unfortunately, but that is there. That is the reality. We are watching each and every aspect.
Yeah. I'll
what
come
is
to that
happening over
point,
there.
with your permission. So somehow they knew as brother country, Turkey, that what will happen. So somehow, in a very small number, we started like 15 engineers, then we were 25. When we conclude this project, we were just 35. So I can say that on average, we were just 25 engineers, different teams, which actually come together
We'll
and
talk
perform
on
this
that.
program.
We'll talk
Yes.
on that later in detail. Mageen, Kaan is the Turkey's indigenous national fighter jet program, if I'm not wrong. While Iqbal is now developing purely in a private capacity, but Pakistan's indigenous fighter jet program. How can Pakistan's Iqbal contribute to the success of Turkey's Kaan fighter jet program, and how it would actually contribute to the bilateral defense and the aerospace industries particularly?
Okay. So Iqbal, as you mentioned, is an indigenously developed technology demonstrator by Turkish Aerospace Pakistan, and as we mentioned that it is named after Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal, who also held the Turkish nation in high regard. Iqbal is a 1/7 dynamically scaled down version of Kaan, and what makes Iqbal really special is that it was entirely developed, designed, manufactured, tested and flown by a small team of young and capable engineers at Turkish Aerospace Pakistan, with support from our counterparts at Turkish Aerospace Ankara too. The primary purpose of Iqbal is to serve as a test bed for advanced aerospace technologies, and since this is an experimental aircraft, we plan to test numerous flight control algorithms, effects of artificial stability augmentation systems, and aspects of applied aerodynamics on this aircraft. So rather than testing these new technologies on a full-scale aircraft, it's much more convenient and a cost-effective way to test them on a dynamically scaled down model. It's also important to mention that the hardware systems on Iqbal, they exactly mimic those of Kaan. And hence, this proves that Iqbal will play an instrumental role in the technological evolution of Kaan. Also, we had our first successful flight on 14th March 2025. It was a huge success for the entire team.
No doubt, no doubt.
And the first flight actually proves the viability of its systems because, and particularly the twin jet engines which power Iqbal. These were indigenously developed by Turkish Engine Industries, which is also a subsidiary of Turkish Aerospace. And so this just goes out to prove the hard work of the team and also the viability of the systems that are housing Iqbal.
No doubt, no doubt. Your point well taken. Dr. Ghulam, what strategies can be employed by the private sector to become self-reliant, to promote indigenous development of the defense technologies? I'm talking about overall, not specifically the aerospace, such as the advanced materials, the propulsion systems and avionics, as Mageen rightly pointing out that engines, it's already a very complex area and that can be used to develop new and upgrade existing aerial defense assets. And how can the government support in these ventures can be beneficial, particularly when we are talking about in the policy domain and regarding the funding?
Yeah, I think it's a very fundamental question and a very good one at that. You see, ultimately, these are the private industries and the developed human resource that contributes to any country's technological development. And it is the government that supports and that creates that so-called ecosystem whereby the private capabilities and ownership, they are set up and they can contribute towards the overall aim of, for example, fifth generation fighter jet development in any country. So what the strategy is employed is that we build up the niche capabilities in universities or by these where, for example, in engines, in metallurgy, in aerodynamics, avionics and electronics. So we have, for example, Institute of Avionics and Aeronautics here in Air University. Similarly, and that is in the private sector or semi-public sector, and the collaboration between the private and the public sector, where private sector can learn and get initiated into the various
always
parts.
You are absolutely right, because private sector has always a leverage when it comes to their connections with the outer world and have bringing the foreign direct investment to the country.
Absolutely.
And they can have the joint ventures with the public sector so that it can boost not only the private sector but also the public sector as well.
Exactly.
So, Dr. Ghulam, Mujadid, how will the Iqbal-Kaan project have the essence to enhance Pakistan's future air power capabilities? Tech advancements align with Pakistan's at forefront of the fifth generation air combat and by developing indigenous aerospace industries, reduce Pakistan's, particularly, this is the very fundamental area, that reduce Pakistan's reliance on the foreign fighter jets.
Exactly. We ourselves have this project like our brotherly country, Turkey. Turkey's project is TFX and we have PFX, which means that Pakistan intends to build its own fifth generation.
That is officially with Pakistan Air Force under the National Aerospace and Security Science and Technology Park.
That means that any achievement that we have done in shape of Iqbal and there is a niche and infrastructure created in the shape of aerospace, Turkish Aerospace Pakistan with trained manpower, and they have produced a miracle in the shape of Iqbal, which is demonstrated, all right, but it's experimentation and further flights.
But it is, we have to remember that this is the first step actually. and the flight for 6 minutes.
Exactly.
It's really a great success.
It's a really great scene, and that speaks of Pakistani engineers, our own, infrastructure and determination that we have in this thing. So what it will do is, of course, it will contribute its portion or its part towards the development of Kaan in Turkey.
Obviously,
at the same time, since it is subsidiary in Pakistan, it is likely to form some kind of ripple effect to other private sectors also in the aviation industry, and that is very heartening. As Dr. Sab mentioned, that this collaboration is so that Muslims as a whole in various parts can progress technologically, industrially, and in a joint manner.
No, this success actually demonstrates that you are a doctor now. So you have to be. So Mageen, what were the parameters that shows that Iqbal's scale down model, first flight, was a real success? I'm talking about technical parameters. Means it's kind of aerodynamic stability, the engine performance, the avionics functionality, and overall safety standards. So what about the final outcomes or the results?
The aircraft, it soared in the skies for 6 minutes, and the flight was completely autonomous. It flew in a very stable manner. The aircraft speed, altitude, and attitude at various stages of the flight were in complete agreement with how we had simulated it before. We also analyzed the data from the onboard data logger, and we saw that the parameters were in complete agreement with the actual flight data. We also ran multiple test runs on the simulator before conducting the actual flight, and every parameter, whatever we had designed the aircraft for, were in complete agreement with the actual flight data. The takeoff was very smooth, the landing was very smooth, everything worked out perfectly. The aircraft had a very stable landing, which was of course a challenge for us, but we're actually ready for more high performance flights in the future.
That's great. That's great. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
To your
And
team,
it also demonstrates,
to Sohail as well, and
it,
to the Turkish Aerospace.
it was a challenge for the entire team. This entire flight was a challenge, but we as a team are really proud that we were able to, and also I would like to mention that the flight data that we have available from Iqbal shall be directly applicable to the development of Kaan, because the hardware systems exactly mimic those of Kaan.
Definitely, and this is the success, and we are also very proud because Turkish Aerospace Industry Office is in Pakistan, and it is purely the Pakistan's talent which has done that. So we are really proud of that. No doubt
this
about
just
that.
validates our design and the analysis that we conducted beforehand.
You're absolutely right. Sohail, to which extent it's true that with the limited, as you have rightly pointed out, about 25 to 35 people, engineers successfully able to design and manufacture Iqbal, and when practically at least 10 times more or over 300 professionals required at least to work on such a critical project. This is just an initial numbers which are required actually. How come such a small team can do that? Is it not a kind of a miracle which was happening actually?
We can count it as a miracle, by the way. I'm not a technical person, of course, but experts like Dr. Saab, I have been communicating on this. So some of the people, they really believe that it is something, they cannot even imagine that such a small team. But anyway, will of Allah, first of all, great blessing of Allah. But I would try to make a future lines after this flight, just putting up on the table for our brother country, I mean for Pakistan as well. So this small team, whatever we replicate as a assignment, as a success story, now it shows that it has already proved the potential, the great potential that Dr. Saab already mentioned. And of course, this team did great job under patronage of our headquarters. The other thing which definitely was getting missed, I would also like to mention that part as well. After 100% design, indigenous design by the team, now the second part was the development of this platform. We couldn't find, as we are talking about, the private sector industry in Pakistan couldn't flourish. It is getting, flourishing right now, but not in the past. So somehow we tried to communicate with some of the private partners, but it was not heading through. Then we tried to of course, with the patronage of our head office, we try to do that in Turkey, but not from Turkish Aerospace. So someone can count that, okay, Turkish Aerospace is a very, very developed high-tech industry, niche industry, as Dr. Saab has mentioned. So it was easy for them, to manufacture or develop this platform. We did this. Our Pakistani engineers went to Turkey, not even in Ankara. Most of the performance, development part is done in Bursa with private vendors. So this is also something to mention, that it is the development also done by our own team, definitely under patronage and guidance of the head office, but completely from the private sector, from small companies.
Because Ankara is considered as the Turkish aerospace hub.
It was mostly out of Ankara. And then, again, as I mentioned, that we need to come together, we need to sit together after this great success, that how we carry forward. And this Iqbal project can play a pivotal role, not only for Turkey, for our brother country, to strengthen its sovereignty and defense.
Your point well taken, your point well taken. Dr. Ghulam Mujadid Sahab, how does the Iqbal-Kaan project strengthen Pakistan's defense and bilateral relations and the strategic partnership with Turkey, and what impact will this collaboration have on the regional defense capabilities? Because ultimately, any country has a dream that air power must have to be cutting edge and having an edge at its adversary.
Yes, I think Iqbal / Kaan project is of great strategic value, whereas it has been established that how development of Iqbal is going to, put it or play its part in the technological development of Kaan. The very infrastructure that has been created within Pakistan, and as Sohail Sahab is saying, that it will have its ripple effect. It will, give Pakistani industry a boost in the development of aviation technology and all that. There is also a very strong possibility that there is a joint production line of Kaan within Pakistan in future. There is a great possibility of that. So once that happened, that this question that there has to be a regional cooperation in the air power, and that too in the 5th generation fighter aircraft domain, that this is going to be a great. So we are looking forward that our private sector or Dr. Sohail Sahab.
It's okay. No, he is a established doctor.
He's not the doctor. He's not the doctor. The capabilities that they have, gathered together is going to go a long way in the development of Kaan, and in that direction whereby there is a Turkey-Pakistan joint production of Kaan aircraft within Pakistan.
That's a very important, valid point you have mentioned. So, Mageen, what are the future plans of particularly the Iqbal team in Pakistan, and the next steps necessary to develop a full-fledged fighter jet, as Dr. Saab is rightly mentioning, especially after the test flight of a scaled-down model, and or practically speaking, what are the future plans of overall in the aerospace industry? How do you actually envisage or see the future scenario, the aerospace industry in Pakistan, and develop a full-fledged fighter jet, a 5th generation or the 6th generation fighter jet in future?
Iqbal shall actually continue to test and integrate new technologies, which will be directly translated onto Kaan few years down the line. The team is actually already working on multiple projects that are directly related to Kaan's further development, its testing, and also its serial production. And not only is the team working in the domain of traditional aircraft design, we're also working in the domain of artificial intelligence and machine learning, and in the modern era, it's very important to incorporate those technologies too as we're moving forward. I would also like to mention that throughout R&D has been associated with Armed Forces of Pakistan. Being in the private sector, this is an achievement for the entire team. And in the future, I think this is the first step. This is just the beginning. Inshallah, Iqbal will continue to be integrated, and everything that is tested onto Iqbal will continue to be translated onto Kaan, and This project particularly represents the power of collaboration beyond the technical significance.
Definitely, we hope
It
that
also represents the ingenuity of our engineers and the shared vision of the two nations which are working together to push boundaries in aerospace innovation. We shall continue to work on that, and this is just the beginning.
you must continue to work on that, because this is the future of Pakistan, and our youth is actually the future of Pakistan. So, Sohail, we have seen the real-time efforts are on to have the 5th generation fighter jet soon in Pakistan, and work is also going on at the different trajectories, but that is very hopeful and helpful as well. When it comes to, as Dr. was saying, the PFX fighter jet under the patronage of Pakistan Air Force, that is by the National Science and Technology Park, and that is also going on. And Iqbal-Kaan project, then, this is also an area which is unrelated to the other one, but that is also going on very dynamically. So, how much rapid developments are there for the development of a 5th generation fighter jet, and where we reached actually till now when it comes to Kaan or what we say Iqbal-Kaan in future, and what about the PFX, because we are going side by side. So, how much years we require to achieve these benchmarks?
Let me go back to the little bit in the history from this, this Khilafat movement. We are natural partners, right? Iqbal and Kaan comes together. Iqbal means, this flight of imagination, Shaheen.
Yes.
And Kaan means king of kings in, Turkish language. So, history binds us, today binds us, and future binds us. Things are in place, arrangements are in place, several discussions, bilateral, going on. As Dr. Saab mentioned, the recent joint working group, 8 joint working group between the both sides. So, as I mentioned, we are natural partners, and as leading countries in technology and defense technology in particular, Pakistan and Turkey, we have no other choice to come together. Inshallah, whether it is a PFX or TFX, it is all the same. Even if we ask any layman, maybe outside our TV station, how you see, he will have similar words, maybe with different choice of word, similar feelings, I mean. So, we are, right now working and trying to collaborate on different fronts, but of course, certain things I should not mention here, but they are in place. And alhamdulillah, both the nations are progressing in the same direction.
Definitely, your point well taken, and thank you very much, Mr. Sohail, for your presence here in the studios. Thank you very much, Mageen, for very candid, elaborative, and technical views you have just mentioned about. And I also say, Dr. Sohail, thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Dr. Sohail.
Dr. Ghulam, Mujadid, thank you very much for calling Sohail as a doctor, and thank you very much for your presence. Always, you are a lively personality, and we learn a lot from you. Really,
thank you for having us here.
Viewers, as you have just listened to our panelists, no doubt the 6 minutes flight, the autonomous flight, no doubt about that, and accuracy of all those simulations which were already demonstrated earlier than this practical first flight, and all parameters got successful. When it comes to Iqbal, we also categorize it as Iqbal-Kaan because it's a part of that whole 5th generation fighter jet program of the Turkish aerospace industries, and particularly the contribution of the Pakistan office. No doubt about that. It is important that you must have a superior air power, you must have the superiority in the skies, and you have a very dynamic and solid air defense system. No doubt that unmanned aerial vehicles or the combat aerial vehicles are the today's and the future of the warfare overall, but the importance of the fighter jets will never be minimized because of their dynamism, because of their speed, because of their radar signatures, because of their stealthy capabilities, maneuverability, and also the combat capability they have. So the thing is that we have to develop a 5th generation, even the 6th generation aircraft, and we are working on that. This is very encouraging that you have to be very hopeful that Pakistan's overall defenses are in the right hands, and talent pool is enormous in Pakistan, and that's why we are proud of our youth and the talent we have, that they have done Iqbal-Kaan project in a super manner. And when we are talking about particularly overall government aspect, government has to actually encourage the private sector, because it is not the domain, or it is not even the duty of only public sector to invest and to do that, because when the private sector comes, there must come the foreign direct investments, there must come the technology and the cooperation from the outer world, and that actually gains and give a lot to the country when it comes to Pakistan, because we all know that Pakistan, or wish even that Pakistan must have to be stronger than ever, and Turkish aerospace industry is contributing into a lot because of the cooperation and all that going on, because this Iqbal project is actually 100% indigenous by the youth of Pakistan, and we are looking forward that this talent will do wonders in future. Obviously, when we are talking about the joint production aspects, we want that our fifth generation fighter jet must have to be, in coming years, must have to be there, because it's Pakistan's need. More private sector collaborations, more investments, technical cooperation, and particularly the research and development. That is the key area to develop any sort of industry, including the aerospace industry in Pakistan. And then industry, academia, and public sector engagement and linkage. This triangle is very important. So ultimately, we will see, inshallah, to have our indigenous fifth generation fighter jet soon. Obviously, in collaboration with Turkey as well, and we are also working on PFX fighter jet under the patronage of Pakistan Air Force. So we have lots of hopes. We have dynamic future in the aerospace industry, and this collaboration between Pakistan and Turkey not only solidify the defense cooperation, but also the bilateral relations in between. This is all from today's Foresight. It's time to sign off. Allah Hafiz.